sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
In the Gambia, we all move to different paces. Time is money, convenience is power, and now both are in your hands. No more long lines, no more late payments, no more missed chances. Not anymore. Because now the Gambia has its own super app, Zap. One app, one tap, endless convenience. Send money instantly, pay your bills in seconds, shop without borders, pay your rides, order your meal, buy your ticket, deposit and withdraw money for absolutely free. No extra charges, no hidden fees, only on Zap Super App. This is not just convenience. This is confidence. This is the future in your hands. And the best part, Zap is born right here. Built for us, designed for every Gambian home, every Gambian dream. So don't wait in the past. Step into the future. Download Zap today on App Store and Play Store and enjoy endless free services. Call us today on our toll-free number 1666 or on 260-0001. Zap, all in one, all for you. Tap in, zap in.
It's Thursday, the 11th of December, 2025, and you're with Coffee Time with Peter Gomez. Later on the program, former Water Resources Minister Honorable Baima Staal will continue his series on the Gambia's history. We'll also get to hear about what was said about Gamtel and Gamcell in the National Assembly by the Minister of Digital Economy. But first on Coffee Time this morning, we're joined by Amie Bojang Sissoho, Director of Press and Public Relations in the Office of the President, popularly known as OP. She's the person responsible for shaping how the presidency communicates with the nation, manages public messaging, and responds to public concerns. And she joins us at a moment when the country is still digesting the just concluded Meet the People tour, a nationwide engagement that has generated debate, raised expectations, and renewed scrutiny of how the presidency listens and responds to citizens. And because she has to be in Banjul by 9 a.m. or not much after that, we will put everything else aside this morning, the usual ads, the newspaper headlines, and the reports, so that we can get into conversation straight with her. Actually, we have a history. In our previous careers, we worked together at Radio Gambia, now GRTS Radio. I have a name for her, she has a name for me. I call her Mbadin Sonanka. Mbadin Sonanka, welcome to Coffee Time with Peter Gomez, your actual first live appearance on the program.
And thank you, Petros. And
that's her name for me.
And thank you for having me. And I'm happy to be here, and congratulations. I think the last time I was in your studio was at the other place.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we had cobwebs all over the room.
Yeah, but that's what development is all about. You move from one stage to the other.
Let's start with the office of the Director of Press and Public Relations, which you have headed since President Barrow came to power. Walk us through the core mandate of the DPPR's office and how it fits into the presidency's overall communication structure.
Thank you very much. When we say the DPPR, that's the Director of Press and Public Relations, it's a public office, and as a civil servant, we are mandated with a TOR, and even though it has a semi-political line with it. That is to say, we have been identified politically, but we go through the civil service process for appointments and promotions and whatever. Mm-hmm. And Our role specifically is to ensure that we support the visibility of the presidency, to amplify his voice on issues that are relevant to the national development, and also support him in terms of his advocacy on issues that are relevant to the National Development Plan. And that involves getting into multimedia, and that is why we have a whole team. Apart from the DPPR, we have the audiovisual team, we have the editorial team, that is the reporters also part of the team. And we work together as a team, and we support each other through that process. And now we also have a Deputy Director of Press and Public Relations, which is the first time we're having that. We were having senior communications officers, but now it has been elevated to have a deputy. And virtually this is what we are, and we set up annually our programs as internal, that without any schedule of the president, what are we going to do? So with that, we have developed and evolved with our own strategic plan of how do we do our advocacy around the issues when there are no daily schedules or things like that. And we have also grown from the beginning to now. It's been 8 years going to 9. Mm-hmm. So we thank God that we have been able to do our little contribution towards establishing a unit that is recognized as part of the OP. Because to be honest, when I came, the media communication unit was called a press office. So it was like a carry-on. People do everything, or technicians, they do their things, and then they say, money. Oil masa borom naka photographer bi wala cameraman bi. They did in the whole process of the OP structure. Okay. But that has developed and changed over the time. It has built confidence, and I think it's linked to the history of fear of media, and the media press in particular, that government officials, they don't want to talk to the media. That's the history. But luckily, over time, and with the different secretary generals I have worked with, because they are my immediate supervisors, and now chief of staff portfolio, has helped to, we have been able to now understand that the importance of communication at the left level.
So how do you balance being the president's spokesperson with being a public servant accountable to citizens?
I am a professional as a media practitioner. I'm sure you know that. My background is to ensure that whatever I'm doing, I'm a professional first, because that's why I was identified. I was not identified because I was a politician. Skills and potential, that is the reason I was identified. So I always keep that as a number one priority of my engagement, and blend it with the political appointment part of it. That is to say, why have you been identified? Is to support a policy and a program agenda for development. Every politician, from my perspective, has a development agenda. So my role as a DPPR is to support that agenda, using my professional skills to ensure that the political message around the policy issues are also considered.
Okay. And how does your office decide what information to release, when to release it, and through which channels to release it?
When I came, it was only meant for newspapers. That's the history I found there. So when anything like the schedule of the president, his engagements, I found that it's only the newspapers that were approached. I, coming from a broadcasting background, decided no. That's why I will always write media release. They will write press release. So the reason, because I felt that generation of using only the press, and if there is any other media...
By press you mean the print media?
The print media, that's what the history I found there. But also I realized that it's only the national radio that the OP worked with at the time. I felt that no, the first question I asked, where do Gambians get their information? And I established the fact that they don't only read news, print media, especially the locally produced news papers.
And also given the literacy rates in this country.
Exactly. And you know my background as a broadcaster, I'm very keen on those things. So I decided, no, we cannot just have the print media, especially newspapers. How many people read the newspapers as far as Gambia is concerned? So this is how the multimedia approach came into our work. We looked at the various types of media and the ones we can access. And I then asked myself, if Gambians are getting their information everywhere, this is how even I involved the late Panderi Mbai of Freedom.
Oh, really?
I used to send him my press releases, and he will do his because one thing I established was I'm not going to dictate anybody's editorial style.
Yes.
My duty is to give you the information. You decide how you're going to use it. That's up to you. But my duty is to make sure that you access what we have. And this is how we work on who gets our information. That's why you realize that we have so many accredited media houses, from print media, television, radio, online, especially online right now. We cannot even accommodate the requests coming from online because almost every platform wants to be accredited, which is not possible. So that is one aspect. The other aspect is my responsibility is to get the information from the officials to be able to relay that information in a communicable way. And this is why I work closely with the Secretary Generals at the time and now the Chief of Staff, so that when there is anything that relates directly to the President and it's his direct engagement, I am responsible to ensure that that information goes out. So this is how we work. We engage, and then we digest the information.
So whatever you have to share, you make sure that everybody has access to it.
Yes, I'm not an exclusive type.
Okay.
And I know many have tried that so that I give exclusive to particular media. But as a human rights activist, I feel that why should I give privilege to one when the others are also serving the others, all Gambians? So I have this tendency. That's why I don't have exclusive friends in the media per se. They will always have that issue with me. But my conscience is that we must give opportunity to everybody as much as possible. We cannot be all equal, yes, I understand that, but the opportunity is for all Gambians.
Seems that, all your past experiences kind of help you in your current position.
Yeah.
You were a broadcaster, local language broadcaster, you were a human rights campaigner, and all those experiences are now helping you in your day-to-day DPPR work. Critics often say that government communication is reactive rather than proactive. How do you respond to that?
It's partly true in the sense that you cannot be proactive if you don't have access to what you are going to talk about. If even sometimes you find it difficult to understand when should I come in and when should I not come in, because you must have a source that is reliable, that is factual, and the information you have to question it internally before you even go out. So it's true in a way, but we have tried to be as proactive as possible. And if you recall, in the 2018, 17, 18, up to around 2019, we used to have our media briefings almost bi-weekly. We started weekly, and then it was too much. We then bi-weekly. That was to be proactive with what engagements and how we can engage with the media and the public through the media. So that is true in that sense. Because of those efforts, I felt that we were being proactive, because we will source information and then come and share it. The other thing about government communication is that government is very complex. It's not a straightforward institution where you just come in and say this. No. It's very complex. Sometimes when you are outside, you cannot understand how it works. But when you get in there, you realize that the procedures, government is very procedural, and that makes it very difficult sometimes when you want to fast-track things. Because of that process, so you tend to delay the information flow. And that is one of the reasons why people will say government is reactive. Because sometimes when the issues come up, you must go through a channel to confirm the information. Maybe the person giving you is not the right person who is the real source of that information. So you must gather that information. That's different from an independent media person out there just contacting somebody who is directly accessible for that as a source of that information to directly get it. I can give you a very good example.
Just give tangible examples.
The appointment of the current Minister of Trade, my
former chief of staff,
my chief of staff, my colleague, I read it from an online paper.
Yes.
And I was questioning myself that tomorrow morning, this is the first thing I have to discuss. Just to get it yesterday. So, who gave that information to that person? I don't know. They decided they wanted that way, that's why they did it. But for me, I will not pick that and react to it. It's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to get it from an official source and deal with it as a professional. And this is what I am.
Okay, so you read it online. So how do you handle misinformation that spreads quickly on social media?
I try
misinformation and other narratives.
Yeah. When I read these things, if there is something that I can directly answer, I would comment. If I know this is not my direct responsibility to comment on, I would take it back to the office, discuss it with my chief of staff and others who are responsible for providing me facts about the stories or information I read. And if it's something that is beyond my office and is the responsibility of other institute offices, we'll let them handle it, but we may share our views on them.
You started out telling us how when you have information, you put it out there for everybody, online, legacy media, television, whatever. What's the relationship between your office and the media landscape like?
I would say it's very cordial, professional for that matter. What we do is we walk through with the media through accreditation. We formalize the relationship. Every year we send out the information that is time for accreditation. Those who are accredited, we accredit them, go through the process and everything. So if we have any information, we share it with the accredited media, but also there's a larger email platform where others, because sometimes diplomats or like embassies and other people, they want information coming directly from the source. So we have those relationships with them. It's purely professional. But when we're outside our media work, I can be a grandmother to some of them, so they will joke with me, we'll play and all those things. But when it comes to work time, we focus on the work. And that's the relationship I have, because some of the media people I knew well before I became a DPPR. Some of the young generation, I knew them through the work. So it depends on what time we're talking about. That will determine the relationship and how we deal with it.
In every profession, you know, there are bound to be challenges. What challenges do you face in ensuring fair and accurate coverage of presidential activities across the media? That West Coast Radio does not sit here and just put out information about the presidency that is inaccurate.
Well, it depends on what West Coast wants to do, because our duty is to share the information. Once we share the information, people have their independent analysis to do. That's up to them. I will not control that, and I'm not in a position to control that. But what I think should be considered is the information given. Relay the facts that are given to you, then you can do your analysis. But if you just do your analysis without giving the context of the analysis, then you're being unfair to the source of that information. Yeah.
And what about the information you yourself are giving out? How do you ensure that you are given the correct information, accurate information to put out there? That you don't send information to West Coast Radio. Because West Coast Radio, you know, quotes your office, and then you say, later on we find out that the information was not correct.
90% of the time, if not more, I question any information given to me. I will ask questions. get elaboration so that I understand the context in which the information is coming from. So because with that, then I'll be able to do a better job with how we communicate that information. So I will always question, I would challenge, I will ask questions, but I will also show my opinion on issues. And then when we come to a conclusion, that is where I will now pick it up.
Do you believe that the presidency communicates enough, or is there room for more structured engagement with the media? Because people complain that President Barrow does not give interviews, you know, often, and there are media houses that still don't have access to him.
Yeah, that's true, because you cannot satisfy everybody. For me, I try to be as practical as possible. I don't just follow my emotions or what I want to do, because if that is the case, I have so many friends and colleagues in the media.
Or what the public demands.
Public demand is a legitimate thing, but reality of your context is also legitimate for consideration. Sometimes you think that we're just, maybe somebody out there may think, okay, OP, what do? They just wait for a president to come and they do a press release about the meeting and that's it. Sometimes we are in the office by 8 and we leave by 7.
In the evening?
In the evening,
Oh, wow.
6.
Wow.
So we have a lot of other things that we engage in, because we set ourselves an agenda that is separate from the daily schedules.
Okay, so when you are not writing media or press releases, what are you doing in the office?
We will monitor. We have, as I said, we have an activity schedule for ourselves. Every 6 months, we come out with a newsletter. So apart from the press releases that are sent as releases, we also prepare them and refine them and retune them into analysis with analysis for the next newsletter. And I'm proud to say, when I came, there was nothing like that, and today we are editing our 16th or 17th edition. Oh. So I'm really proud of that, because I feel that we need to also archive information, not just send the press release out, but that information that we do our analysis gives you more context, and then it can be used by researchers, it can be used by students who are interested in what happens there, and even other people. And we use it with pictures so that even the local people who cannot read much will be able to use the pictures to understand what is going on.
So these newsletters are widely available, because I haven't come across one yet. Or is it just
because you are not following.
To target, audiences.
No, I think that's why a lot of people are also missing what we do. We cannot do anything without being online. Our website carries our news magazines, it carries everything that we do. So those who go to the website, they get information about what we do. And also we are on the social media, Facebook and Twitter, X now, as much as possible. And we share all the information I talk about here, they are online. So that's one aspect. The other thing we've also initiated was to do a State House Kibaro in the local language, like a weekly roundup of the local.
You stolen that name from St. Augustine's. St. Augustine's High School used to have a newsletter called Sunu Kibaro.
Yeah, this one, every weekend, we try Friday at least to say, okay, what's the roundup of the news in the local language? We try to do it in the local language, and we share it with the WhatsApp groups, and it was really going good. Well, at one point I had to stop because my staff were almost gone. So it's one of the things we want to renew for the new year, because it was well received by those who were accessing it. So that's another thing. When I'm not also writing about the news stories or editing, we sit down to reflect. What do we do? How do we communicate? How can we improve on what we are doing? So we try to, I'm always, because I like note writing, maybe it's because of my background. So I'll be thinking and then writing it down and then share with my team. Sometimes I'll be in the middle of reflection and yes, guys, come, there is something in my mind. And that is how we even have the initiatives of, like right now, we've initiated what we call the OP exhibition room. because it was a few years back when students from Woolly wanted to come to OP on an excursion. We couldn't receive them because there's nothing organized to show or put them through how OP and the State House works. But with that, it sort of inspired us to come up with an initiative, which we have done. And we are at the final stage where now, when students come in, we can take them through about the State House. And we even have a booklet about, we call it the residents, the occupants, taking the story of the first occupants of the colonial masters to Sir Farimang, to Sir Dauda, former President Jammeh, and where we are.
And the current occupant.
And that is His Excellency President Adama Barrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just finally on, what you do at as DPPR, what's the difference in the roles of your office, that of the government spokesman or spokesperson, and the Ministry of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services? I mean, very often when Dr. Sissoho is here, the Minister of Information, or when Sankare, the government spokesperson, is here, I get messages asking, what's the difference between these three offices?
Yes. Let's start with my office.
Yes.
My office is directly responsible for the daily engagements of the President. That is, every morning we see his schedule, or the day before if we are lucky, and then we work on that. Do the accreditation of the media, get them there, send out our messages, get involved in meetings he does there that are of official standing. That's one thing. The other thing is the government spokesperson, from my understanding, is responsible for the government-wide, like all the ministers or ministries. If they have anything they want to share with the public, and it's like a press release news type of thing, or even to actively engage with their staff, they can brief the government spokesperson to bring that information out. That is why if you look at the cadre for government spokesperson, it's almost similar to the permanent secretary. So that permanent secretaries in all the ministries will know that this person is my colleague, and we are almost a par. I should have confidence and trust to provide them with information on what is happening at my ministry so that they can proactively communicate that. And my understanding is the government spokesperson should also be proactive in reaching out to them. Like every morning, I will reach out to my chief of staff. I would expect that every morning, the government spokesperson will be in touch, or before that, with the permanent secretaries. They can do a schedule to say, okay, this week we'll be programming to reach out and proactively communicate about Ministry A, B, and C. And then you do that as a routine until you cover all of them. The other thing is the Ministry of Information. For me, is the policy institution where they work with all the medias to ensure that legally and procedurally they are doing the right thing. And when there is anything dealing with cabinet information, it's the Minister of Information, who is a cabinet member, who should share that information with the public. Because the person would have been there to involve in the discussions, have a better understanding of what the issues are at the policy level. And our responsibility regarding that is when there is going to be cabinet, because the president is going there, we will announce that the president will be in cabinet, and we expect that these are going to, because they have an agenda, and we expect that that is what they are going to cover. And that's the end of my responsibility, or our office's responsibility. Then, after the meeting, the minister who has been there, involved in all those things, will now bring out the policy decision and conclusion for that meeting. And then the government spokesperson, from my understanding, will now pick that to ensure that that is being followed through communication with the particular ministry. This is my understanding of our different roles.
Unfortunately, it does not always work like that.
Yeah, but well, that's why I said my perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And based on my experience.
Absolutely.
Yëpp lay fay. Sant yàlla. looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
In the Gambia, we all move to different paces. Time is money, convenience is power, and now both are in your hands. No more long lines, no more late payments, no more missed chances, not anymore. Because now the Gambia has its own super app, Zap. One app, one tap, endless convenience. Send money instantly, pay your bills in seconds, shop without borders, pay your rides, order your meal, buy your ticket, deposit and withdraw money for absolutely free. No extra charges, no hidden fees, only on Zap Super App. This is not just convenience. This is confidence. This is the future in your hands. And the best part, Zap is born right here. Built for us, designed for every Gambian home, every Gambian dream. So don't wait in the past. Step into the future. Download Zap today on App Store and Play Store and enjoy endless free services. Call us today on our toll-free number 1666 or on 260-0001. Zap, all in one, all for you. Tap in, zap in.